Chmerkovskiy. Welcome to Money Rehab. What? No, you didn't like
great.
it.
No, it was
one
perfect.
more time. You were judging me.
You could do it one more time. Yeah,
Give me
you did it like
out of
everybody
10.
else. This was like, you
Score me.
already did a 10. This was a 7.
Okay.
The other one was a 10.
Maks Chmerkovskiy.
Better.
8, 9?
It's like an 8.
I'm competitive. Maks Chmerkovskiy. How about that with like the little
Did it with the little. I think we're there.
10?
That was like the previous one was still the best.
Okay.
Chmerkovskiy.
Chmerkovskiy.
There you go. That's it, done.
10.
10.
Welcome to Money Rehab.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about Ukraine and dancing. And I thought I would talk about them in two separate buckets, but
Right.
it really seems like it's the same bucket. You started dancing in Ukraine.
Yeah. It's just one giant bucket at this point. I'm from Ukraine. I was born in Odessa, 1980. Missed the 70s by a couple of weeks. I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
But so, ballroom dancing at that time was just appropriate and known and popular, and so my parents, I was born to two 20-year-olds, and in the 80s, it's kind of like, what do you know? And so their whole thing was limit their free time. And then you can't really go wrong, because at the end of the day, it's like, my whole childhood was about learning things and getting better at stuff, and then being given the choice to do what I want to do later. That was their original plan. Never had a choice. I went to dance at like 5 and never stopped. Did a lot of other things to limit the free time, including sciences. I was a chemistry and biology major for the last 2 years of my 6th and 7th and 8th grade. I finished 9 grades, so 9th, 8th, and 7th. I wasn't good at math, obviously. And I immigrated to U.S. in 94. I was 14, went into 10th grade in Brooklyn High School, and that was it.
So when you started, you were so young. To limit the free time was to just not get in trouble, I assume.
Yeah.
To keep you and your brother out of trouble.
Well, I came first. Val came 6 years later. At that time, they kind of knew what to do. And I think now that I'm experiencing the exact same thing, I have a 6-year-old, and Peter is pregnant with our second.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And I feel like he's just going to have no choice but to follow the same
He's going to start dancing?
setup that we already set up for this one. So if he's going to end up being in karate, I feel like this one's going to end up being in karate too, for, you know what I mean? Like, for example.
Yeah.
But we don't know. Shai, our 6-year-old, we're not sure. Dance or not, we don't know
I
yet.
feel like he was dancing in the womb. I feel like it's inevitable.
Oh, yeah. Peter was on tour with us. Val and I had a tour, and we were just on a bus in 62 cities in the U.S., and she was pregnant in most of them. So Shai was on stage.
He already has his union card, I bet.
Yes, SAG-AFTRA. He's got it.
Were you and Val competitive
No.
as dancers growing up?
No,
Or
we didn't
supportive?
get to. We didn't get to. So we immigrated. I'm 14. He's 8. Ballroom dancing is now kind of became a thing that was familiar for me. Val sort of went straight into my footsteps. And we found ourselves in Brooklyn and ballroom dancing in the United States, which in the mid-90s did not exist, really. There were a few people doing some things, but it wasn't on the level that was for where I came from. So we kind of had the opportunity, talk about genius, once in a lifetime kind of situation where Val and I actually were part of the founding members of ballroom dance community in the United States as it stands today, and we facilitated along others. I'm just giving us a partial credit for the few that were here at that time. So ballroom dancing became that. We kind of went right back to it, and the first money I started making was in Russian-Ukrainian restaurants on Brighton Beach. And so on Friday, Saturday, Sunday at night, we would dance. I would go do a show with my 14-year-old partner. I was like 15. And then I decided to put a 3-couple show together. And my 12-year-old brother at that time was a U.S. national champion in his age category. And I was like, yo, you coming in?
This was like Dancing with the Stars 1.0.
This was
Beta edition.
This was like, yeah, I mean, this is where we come from. So when Dancing with the Stars came in 2006, by that time I finished my ballroom dance career. I was top 6 in the world in professional Latin. Could have continued, should have probably continued, but here we are. So can't be can't be upset with what happened 2006 and onwards, and what Dancing with the Stars gave us and the opportunity, so on and so forth. So here we are.
And after Dancing with the Stars, you opened up dance school. I mean, was that a conscious effort because there's such this shelf life when you're a physical athlete or a dancer? And if you want long-term business success or you want to scale yourself, it's hard to do that.
Right. So, all of the things and the way you posed the question and everything else. First of all, I opened my first studio when I was 17. I still lived in Brooklyn. I was going to Pace University in Manhattan, and I opened it in New Jersey, in Bergen County. I've never even been to at that time. So we started by opening what was needed in the place where the clientele would have been, right?
Yeah.
It was ballroom dance studio for Eastern European immigrants, basically, because we were that and the world we were in was that. And so I was successful immediately. I didn't know what to do. I was kind of self-taught and was teaching myself on the job. And again, I was a teenager myself. But in 2006, we opened our first social dance studio, which is a high-end dance product for adults. You, me, somebody, lawyer, doctor, whatever. And we have 16 of them now in 8 states, which we're very proud of. So that was a conscious business effort. In 97, Rising Star Dance Academy in Saddlebrook, New Jersey, was not a conscious business effort. This was like we're going to do it too, and it was just like effort of, now we're in it. Now we have to make it successful, whether we like it or not, so.
But later on, it became a way to continue to grow long-term wealth.
When Dancing with the Stars came around, it now in, sort of biz terms, it gave the few dancers the opportunity, but it gave the most dancers in the entire dance community an advocate, right? And the advocates were us. It was me and my brother and the Dancing with the Stars professionals that came first and subsequently after that. So we promoted ballroom dance industry. We promoted that type of entertainment. We promoted it to the point where I was part of when we started to get offers to be to dance at some kind of big award shows and no longer to back up a singer, but to just be your own performance. So that was a big sort of step into here. Now we are also maybe not on the same level as the A-list performers, Beyonce's and so on, but we are somewhere nearby with performers that are also sell tickets, which is very important. You talk about shelf life for entertainer. Again, I'm 43. I'm very proud to still be here, because it's very unusual.
Yeah, and also early on as a dancer, you don't really make money. I mean, I went to performing arts high school. I was a dance major 1.5 million years ago. I'm not going to pretend like I'm any sort of dancer, but I just remember thinking oh my God, I have to do something else, even back then, because I'm going to be starving.
So yeah, I mean, you got to get lucky. You got to be at the right place at the right time, but you also have to have a lot of resilience. I mean, if anything else, I have stamina, from our dad, mom, from our parents who led the way through immigration, and it was in front of my 14-year-old teenage eyes, right? So I wasn't a little kid. I was a grown person when I landed, quickly grew up in Brooklyn. My brother, same thing, 8 years old. He's watching. He's being influenced by parents hustling and doing whatever they need to do. 2 jobs, pizzerias, studying, the verbs and all these words, English sentences all over the kitchen wall. I mean, we did it all, what you read nowadays in books and stuff. So, we've done it. And so once you develop that stamina, I think that's the most important element. Again, you just need to know what you're doing and why you're opening a business and what world you're coming into. And we certainly learned, again, a lot on the job, but here we are.
So you immigrated to the United States with your family 3 years right after the Soviet Union fell?
94, yeah. So it's actually interesting. In 91, when that whole big thing blew up, I think we had our big interview for the immigration process, and that interview was in Moscow. And at that time, this was the only U.S., representing kind of office. So you get online. We were online for 2 years or something. Our interview time came. The whole family, we took a train to Moscow. It's 20 some hours.
Oh my God.
We had the interview, got on the train, went back. Obviously, no cell phones, nothing. By the time we came to Odessa, we come out, there was that historic event when the tanks went onto the Russian, the Parliament House or whatever. It was craziness. And so they're like, "What did you guys do? What did you do? Like, what are you talking about?" So again, it was an interesting story. But that was the day, literally the day before that, we were there for interview to leave that place and to be allowed to to be led into United States. And we didn't do it in a way of like, let's just get here and stay, put in documents and all that. We wanted to do it that way, like where we would be welcomed in right away, And I think later on I realized that was, our dad's sort of wish for us. But eventually we were gonna leave, So whether it was this way or some other way, we were gonna not be there.
What do you remember about your childhood there?
Everything. Ask me anything.
What was
I
it
remember
like?
everything. It was amazing. It was amazing for me because it was incredibly hard for my parents for that reason. And now I understand that because I have a kid of my own. And so I realized that for me to make sure that he has a beautiful childhood, regardless of situation, and again, look where we are, LA, Malibu, and all that, it's not very hard. But it's on us. It's on me. It's on my wife. It's on the way we are in our house, the type of household that we sort of surround a child with. And it's supposed to be in the way that no matter what happens outside, he always feels safe to the point where he can, no problem, keep going outside where it's not safe, and he can sort of be a part of elements and all that. So that's how I felt. I felt like things were happening around me, stuff now that I kind of like looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it felt like. It felt unsafe.
But your parents made you feel safe.
But I was coming home every night
Yeah.
to the hug, to the dinner, to, probably some stuff that, maybe they regret. I would get my ass whooped because that's the old world. And apparently that's the way you kind of whatever. But it wasn't in a way of like what I'm part of like organization called Child Help that deals with abused kids. This wasn't that, this was loving, beautiful relationship, but, old world kind of nonsense. But short of that, it was the most amazing mom, the most incredible supportive dad, the most beautiful, loving environment. So what was I to remember that was bad?
For those who don't know, you were in Ukraine filming, right, when the invasion happened. So what can you tell us about what February 24th was like?
Terrifying. It was terrifying. It was 5 a.m. My friend called. My phone is like off the hook. I'm okay with that because the time difference, I usually, get somebody call me at like 3 a.m. Hey, bro, what's up? I'm like, bro, it's 3 a.m. Where are you? I'm in Kyiv. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'll call you. You know what I mean? Like, so this was not unusual, but the phone is off the hook. So I got up, I looked down, it's like 5 a.m. My friend in Kyiv tells me, so just pack your bags, just chill, be very calm. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, the war has begun, but just be calm. Like, and I get the chills still. It was that, the war has begun. And I was like, oh my God. And then it was just sort of like stressful, stress that I kind of never felt before in a way of like, I'm all about the body and sort of the way things happen natural and react. Like I had this, I don't want to say it, but like I've never smelled myself in my life ever. Swear to God, like, and I sweat and I'm active. Like, I've never really stunk. I'm not that guy. My armpits were producing like almost like a chemical, all of a sudden for the next I would say for the next week and a half. And it was like, I was there for 8 days before I was able to take a train ride out. And I remember through it all, I'm like, I just can't get rid of that. Like it was every time there would be a stressful situation, I would just immediately get wet under my armpits and it would just be that sort of chemical. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just under so much stress. It's insane. So that's how it felt the whole time.
Yeah, because you're so in tune with your body and there's like this idea that the body
Yeah.
keeps score. So
yeah, I
that
mean,
makes sense.
It lets you know exactly what's happening on the inside. So, but outside of that, it was just stressful because for the first time, so I travel all the time. And if you travel, and I'm sure you are, but I travel a lot. Since I was a kid, we travel overseas for competitions. I've been to most of the country on earth. We always fly. So Dancing with the Stars, again, we travel. Now I just travel around the country for my studios. Like I said, we're all over the place. So I'm always on the plane. I'm always doing stuff. I can always come home. I can always come home, no matter what. I don't have a plane ticket. Here's a credit card. Here's a ticket, something else. I'm always come home. I could not come home. This was the most terrifying realization, that when I realized I just can't get out. Like I can get out, but it's not guaranteed. You'll be on the road to Poland from Kiev, which usually takes like 10 hours, 11 hours or something. People standing there for what was like 2.5 days.
Oh my God.
Running out of gas, starting to walk. Some people on the side of the road laying down, just freezing. It was just insane. There was shooting. There was like checkpoints. I mean, it just got really out of hand. So I didn't want to, risk. I didn't know what to risk. So that situation, the stress with not being able to get out, with the fact that it's not aggressive behavior. This is a full out war, like World War II, like history book stuff.
My God. Were you able to talk to your son?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean,
Okay.
again, with 2023 plus, I ended up in a situation in hindsight that was very safe. I was with a group of people that were, part of media. And I was in a hotel, but I was in a space that was kind of like Switzerland in the middle of Kiev, where all the international media would have been. But then I realized I'm a block away from Zelensky office, where all of this is coming to. So I really need to go. And the day that I actually made my move to the train station and got out was when I started to get, I had new contacts that I made, like all these like ex-Mossad and CIA, ex-CIA operatives that were working with these sort of like, they were like now for hire kind of like people, the guides within that situation. And so they were all texting me like, you need to go tonight, like right now. And so when that started coming in, I'm like, okay, I got to get out.
So you left early March, right?
Yeah.
You left on the train. Were you arrested?
I was standing outside of my hotel. There was like a little peace conversation going on, I guess, at that time. We thought was a peace conversation. So for some reason, the general feeling in the hotel was like, oh, we can step outside, maybe just like walk around. Like I did not go anywhere. But so I stepped out literally maybe 30 feet to the left, not even. And I immediately got stopped. They grabbed my hands and pulled me in the building. I realized the building right next to us was like a giant command center. All these like army personnel. I was terrified. And again, this whole idea that if you didn't speak with Ukrainian accent, like what are you doing here? And if you spoke Russian, which I don't speak Ukrainian, I only speak Russian. It was just crazy. I didn't know how to answer. What are you doing here? I'm wearing black. I'm like, oh my God, what do they think I am? It was just nightmare. So yeah, after that, I was like, I gotta go. And by the way it ended is that I'm standing there. It's like, I gave my passport again. I would pray on my blue passport for the rest of my life. That's the only thing that got me out. I promise that. And this big general comes up and he looks at it, or whoever he is. This other guy behind him goes, oh, that's Maks from Dancing with the Stars. He's like, gave me my passport, like, go back. I'm like, I'm in that hotel literally next door. Like, go back there. I'm like, okay, bye. Ran out.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I was like, damn.
Did you think you were going to die?
No.
Did you think you were going to get hurt?
No, I didn't know what to think. Not then. That moment was terrifying just because I thought it was like, damn, why don't you just stay in the damn hotel? Just don't go anywhere. You get yourself in that type of stuff all the time. But when I sort of was let out and went back, I just, it was just another kind of like lesson. Maybe I was just touched by somebody. Like, I have no idea. Nothing would have happened. Listen, they would have ran my stuff and let me go. But again, I realized, I'm like, Maks, this is not a conflict. This is not, this people, it's one thing. We all know somebody who is an active soldier, right? You meet him in a club, we talk about stuff, or your uncle or cousin or whatever, military, duty, off duty type of situation. I have never met until then a soldier who's in the middle of the war. It's a completely different person. They have the different look in their eyes. They're there for a completely different reason. And,
not a veteran.
And I am none of those people. You, me, him, we are not that person. So, yeah, I realized I just need to get that out of the way and let these people figure this out.
It sounds like those days were just full of adrenaline.
Oh
Like,
my God. Jeez, Louis.
do you want
Yeah.
to check? Make sure.
No. I'm just saying, yeah, it was insane.
He does not.
Yeah. No, by the way, the phone near me is just because I'm just being responsible.
That's
Husband.
good husband. I fully support. So when you did make it out of Ukraine, I was reading about your survivor's guilt or shame.
Yeah.
Do you still feel
Yeah.
that? You've done so much
But
for
it's
Ukraine.
not about that. It's not about, no. I also spoke to a lot of people. I realized what I am, what I'm not. It's not about that. I think that, I'm also just incredibly loyal person too. And so, I had an amazing relationship with those people. I've gotten back to Ukraine through TV opportunities 11 years ago. Did the show, I don't want to even name that name. I did The Bachelor. I was the first Bachelor on Ukrainian television. Let's just giggle it out. Let's go.
It's amazing. I didn't even know that.
And we're
But
back.
I'm gonna. Yeah, we're back.
And we're back.
That's
No,
great.
so I did that, and it was amazing. And not the show, but the subsequent, opportunities that got. And, I rekindled. I was a 14-year-old that left the country, that I was not sure where we're going. I did not have a great time, getting into the United States lifestyle. My brother was 8. He kind of like jumped in, and here he was. I remember 9 months later, I still don't speak English. I'm 15 now. I'm a teenager. I'm 6'1" already. You know what I mean? Like, so I already stand out, but I can't open my mouth. I'm in the back of the class. I have no confidence. I literally haven't spoken until Dancing with the Stars. So, all of those things happen, and I now in my mid-20s realizing that maybe I also have a problem with the fact that, what is my heritage? Where am I from? Where are my roots? You know what I mean? So things like that. So Ukraine for me, through Dancing with the Stars, and then the opportunities on TV, and then I started coming back and I started realizing these are my people, closer to than some of the immigrant, generation that I grew up with, because we were from everywhere, but this is where I'm from. And so it feels very personal to me, right? So now we're talking a decade of relationships, of relationship building, of having, friendships that are on this level. And when the war started, I was there for about 6 months or 7 months before that, filming Dancing with the Stars. I was a judge on Dancing with the Stars, so that's a live show once a week for like 14 weeks. So I spend a lot of time in Kiev, a lot of time in Ukraine in general. So now I'm having all of these relationships, all these TV relationships, TV friendships, and I'm seeing these dancers that I just judged on Dancing with the Stars at front line. And I'm like, I can't put that together. And so, I feel like, but I'm also part of that same group of people, So that was the confusion for me and inside of me, and I needed to deal with that, and I dealt with it on my own. It wasn't some therapy or some other stuff. Like, it's time multiplied by keep looking at what's in front of you. The closest to me is my 6-year-old, my wife, and that's it. And issues that we have, as in like, in my family and everything that needs to happen around that. So, for me, it was hard, but it was, ultimately, I come to the right conclusion of how to deal with this and how to continue helping those people, but without doing some nonsense and jeopardizing what I've been building here for all these years.
And just to clarify, you mean the people you were working with on TV there, all the men had to get called up
Oh, yeah.
for duty.
So that's what I mean, yeah.
So you were one of the few men on the train, or the only men on the train out.
Oh my God, I was so I had that realization when I got on train, and the way I got on it, again, they just literally shoved it was me and maybe like 2 other people with different passports, right? So we were 3 or 4 of those, and they're like, go. And they kind of like shoved us in, which we got in. And I remember it was like tiny train wagons that designed for like maybe 30 people. The guy that walked in, he's like, I'm going to have 130 heads in this wagon. I was like, I'm like, where are they going to go? There was 132 people when it was said and done, and it looked like the zombie run, the only thing I can compare it to. The whole thing was shaking. People were let in to run. If you make it, you make it. So this is a long conversation because a lot of stuff happened. The moms losing their kids, the getting separated, the fact that there was me and maybe like another guy around, on the other side of the train, and I was judging the entire train ride, 27 hours. I was like, this guy is inside the train and on the bed, and I had taken my backpack, put myself in between the wagons. So I was like, like a freezing temperature. So the ladies would like, hey, come on in. I would be let in, they pass me sandwiches, stuff like that. Would eat my sandwich, stand there, and they like walk back out because there was literally no room to lay down on the floor, to sit, nothing. So, just a lot of that stuff. It's just PTSD, and it's just traumatic experience.
Well, you've talked about the PTSD for when you left Ukraine. I'm sure that was all triggered last year.
Yeah. And it was triggered last night, to be honest with you. Like yesterday I was sitting and, just texting my friends, very small group of people, and I'm like, and I didn't understand why. And I felt like I needed to let this out. I'm like, listen, I'm sorry, but you guys are going to be it. Tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary. For me, it's just unfathomable that we're still sitting here because my communication is, again, I have few friends, not speaking for the whole Ukraine, but the few friends that are actively right there in, what is it, like line zero type of stuff, going in and out. Some are able to come back and have communication. Some I haven't spoken to in months. It's the reality. And I'm like, there is a generation of people that are getting hurt, that are dying, that are getting affected. And this is unfair. And it could end right away. But for whatever the way world is, you deal with that through finances all the time. You see stuff happen and it could be averted, but it's not maybe for a reason, I feel like I don't want to change subject into where it shouldn't be, but there's just a lot of reasoning over there. While we, the, little people dealing with the unreasonableness of this situation.
But you've done so much work to do what you could, your own part. You went to Poland to help with aid efforts. You started the organization Barnova 27 for tons of aid to Ukraine. You helped build homes for displaced families. You started a mobile app, right,
Not
for
enough.
emergency. You don't think that's enough?
Hell
It's
no.
amazing work, Maks.
It's great work, but it's not enough, and because it's so. First of all, thank you, but it's not for that. We didn't start for this. This is not our business. We don't want to do it. We want to continue to be who we are. By we, I mean me, my father, my brother. That's the Barnova, my mom, the few people that were there from day one. We are not. This wasn't it. I support nonprofits for the last decade and a half the best way that I can, and I do it as much as I can. This was not our profession. So we started it because it was like we all felt terrible and, teary-eyed and, emotional. But in the process, we're learning the negatives of it all too, how hard it is, to continue. First of all, how hard it is. Well, look at the times that we live in. And at that time, I'm supposed to go out and try to, get people to donate the little bits here and there just so that we can build that house and, provide that aid and that support. I'm like, this is nonsense. So I believe in doing all you can, do your best. But the why I say it's not enough, because I don't think anything will be enough, to be honest. So I think it's a little more metaphorical. But I do feel like, nothing we can do is enough. So do what you can.
On this anniversary, can you believe that this has been a year?
No, I cannot, because I was with my manager. She had, dropped it all. I guess they lost maybe everything. She picked up her kids there in Switzerland with the rest of the immigrants. And, and I remember we were talking, I'm like, it's okay. And so she's trying to keep me like, hey, so we're going to get you out. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Get yourself out. Like, that's why I got stuck. It wasn't because people weren't willing to help. It's because I stopped picking up the phone on the locals. And I was like, that network executive that swore to me that I'll be on that first plane out, is trying to call me and try, hey, we still figuring out. I'm like, you need to get your family figured out, so like that was the hard part, is like I'm on my own because I'm gonna have to be like, because her job now is to take care of her kids, you know what I mean? So I remember we talked about this and I was like, babe, it's a couple of weeks, US will step in, NATO will step in, right minds will prevail. It's 2023. Who wants this type of war? You tell me. We live in LA, we kind of in this world, we talk about where crypto's going and, metaverse and all that. These people right there are now back to the, like, how far back is it now?
Let's turn back the country so many years. How do you explain this to your son? How do you talk to your son about what's going on there? Or do you?
Don't, no. He's 6. Somebody told me, if you grow up on the East Coast, you got to raise your family in the West Coast and then send them to school to East Coast. I was like, that's how I treat it. And so what I decided is I'm going to try to be like, how do you maximize the value of living in Malibu and raising your kids here? You make it as stress-free as possible. The only reason that we're here is because it's stressless. If we wanted some stress for my 6-year-old and therefore talk to him about war, I'd have lived in New York City.
He hasn't heard about it. I guess he's too young.
So for me, I'm like, you know what? You be here, you do your thing. I dropped him off to school today. I had the most beautiful morning seeing him run around with his friends. And I'm like, when the time comes, I'm going to throw you in, son. You just ready. But until then,
you're going to shelter him.
I'm going to shelter. I'm going to give him the tools. So when this kid walks out, this is stupid, but in my mind, do you remember one of the first was that like Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito movie, The Twins?
Yeah, Twins, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember when he was like, there's a scene, I don't know if you remember the movie, there's a scene when he comes, I'm showing my age for sure. There's a scene where Schwarzenegger gets introduced, he comes out and he's like on this island and he's been raised by the best and he's been working out since he was like a baby and his like mind is the most amazing scientific. And so, and then he kind of enters the world and he's ready, I feel like that's what that's what I'm trying to do is like, you know what? When they ready to, take on the world, they'll be ready.
Let's talk about when the conflict ends, because I'm hopeful it will. Will you go back? Will you take your kids back?
Cannot wait. So I can't wait. I would have gone back already. One of my friends is back and forth in the front. We had actually plans for a show. He's a TV personality as well. And we had a project in the works that we started right as it all happened. And, I can't wait to get back to that. I can't wait to get back to, my Dancing with the Stars, so, world of dance families. I can't, some of the people that I met to work with, the producers, the directors, the stagehands, the camera guys. I mean, the dancing in that place is just, we always attach art to something that you go through on a personal level. Can you imagine art coming out of that place?
Yeah. Art imitating that life,
or just art driven by real emotions. And I'm not saying US is all that. I am in love with this place. This is home. This is forever home, and I'm grateful to this country. It's not a freaking promotion. I'm telling you, this is how I feel. And people who ever say anything against this place, go to anywhere else on the planet. I promise, anywhere on the planet, no matter how beautiful it is. There's this joke. It's a long joke, but the punchline is, don't confuse vacation with immigration, and where it leads. So I know both ways. It's very nice in Hong Kong, to come and go.
Yeah,
it's beautiful in South Africa to come and go. It's great to visit Eastern European countries.
To come and go on your leisure.
On your own volition. Go and have amazing time. Yeah, dollar stretches. You get a lot of stuff. Oh, taxes, amazing, great. Go there.
The blue passport is something that not all Americans appreciate.
They need
to.
They should. They should. And I think those that get into some kind of life situations quickly change their songs. But I will come back and pay taxes here and be upset probably about it later on in life, because everybody that just like eventually have to complain about something. But, you know, the tools and opportunities that this place gives you, you know, I'm an advocate. I'm a forever advocate.
So if you look back at the year, what a crazy year it's been. Do you have a few like summary words that you would describe what that experience is like now that you've done all this work and have this perspective?
To avoid cliched, most growth I've probably ever had in one calendar year. Again, we did go through a lot of stuff as a family, and, you know, personally, I went through a lot of things that maybe most of the people don't get to. You know, just our profession alone is something that allows me to meet so many more people that a normal person would. You know, it's not always for the best, but I experience a lot all the time. Nothing like this year. And I learned also how to appreciate what you have, you know, for the actual meaning of that sentence, you know, because we just say it with some TikTokable, you know, hashtag, you know, popular hashtag. But the reality is, you know, this year just showed also what kind of people that there are. And I'm going to have to give this homage to the Ukrainians, you know, and I'm not saying that they're only ones, but I'm saying that that's an example, and I think it's going to go a long way, you know, for the rest of the world, like looking in, like, wait a minute. It ain't about the size, you know, geographically. You know, it's about the what's on the inside. To be fair, did any of us know what kind of warfare can there be nowadays? No, we didn't. Now we're looking at the most warfare there can possibly be. So if that's what it is, and what's required is a little bit of money and a lot of bit of heart, because U.S., nobody would have been helping that place, regardless of where it is geographically, if the people didn't stand up.
Yeah, what Ukraine lacks in money, they make up in heart, for sure.
Well, we wouldn't have invested. The entire world is investing. It's a bad, dirty word, but you know, we're here, and that's all it is. People are investing. You asked me before, what is it like when Ukraine wins? It's a center of the economic boom. It's definitely the most desirable geographical location on earth to be a part of. You asking me if I want to come back? Hell yeah, I want to come back. I want to be part of the rebuild. I want to be part of, you know, use me, take, you know, whatever you need me to do, I'm here.
Listen, I'm allergic to cliches normally, but if growth is a cliche, then sign me up for that one.
Yeah, for sure.
And also appreciate, I mean, if we use our finance lens, because that's where we're at right now, if you appreciate, then it appreciates and it grows, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. If you appreciate and appreciates. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yes. I'm sitting next to this money tree that was neglected for a long time, but will be appreciated moving forward. We're going to see the appreciation of it.
We're going to get growth. Who knew you had a green thumb as well? Add it to the resume. Damn, Maks.
There's a lot of stuff.
What can he not do? Do you feel like the public attention is still with people of Ukraine, or has it been forgotten in this last year?
We're working on it. I, you know, promise you, I just had a conversation with somebody that I came across that, you know, is definitely going to be a big boost for what I'm trying to do and continue doing it. I just met him coming out of the grocery store. So, you know, I'm working on it every day. And I think, you know, when I said back in the beginning, you know, burn over 27, we don't do enough. We can't possibly do enough. We're too little. But what I recommend and what I preach is that all the little ones get together, you know, and continue supporting one another. I gladly will lend my hand to whoever's listening and have a nonprofit or have some kind of fundraiser. Hit me up, you know.
DM.
I'll DM me. I'll post about it, you know. But it, you know, the problem is nowadays there's so much, you know, there's so much nasty stuff going on as well. There's so much of that dramatic kind of like negativity. I'm like, how is it even possible to be place for it here and now? But, you know, people try to benefit even on warfare. So that's why I try to stick to very reliable sources. And for example, you know, Bethany Frankel is somebody I'm close with. She hooked me up with Michael Capone, who runs a nonprofit called Global Empowerment Missions. Talk about somebody who got hundreds of millions of dollars immediately dedicated and continue to support, like, I mean, it's just pushing massive amounts of humanitarian aid, immediately reacting to anything else around the world at the same time. How do you continue sending 30, 40, 18 wheelers, I think something like almost daily into Ukraine, while helping Turkey, while helping any kind of Florida disaster, anything that happens? So, I believe in organizations like that do massive things, that use their financial know-how to build infrastructure that actually makes a difference on a level that you can feel. $200 million, you can feel it. A couple of thousand, not sure. We did a big thing in the very beginning, 100%. We pulled off unreasonable numbers of humanitarian aid collected by volunteers in Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Like 500,000 pounds or something of aid,
More. It just keeps going. We already stopped it a long time ago, but we keep shipping.
So you don't think every little bit matters?
Of course it
does. And
does.
what would you say? So if somebody's listening and wants to help, what would your message?
Give money somewhere to somebody else. Don't do it yourself. You're going to waste money. Just do your research. Don't put it into there was some A-list celebrities that started doing fundraisers through some kind of like fundraising platforms. Let's just be vague about this.
Okay.
And so you put together $42 million and you don't know that 18% goes away before you even blink.
To the overhead.
And why would you want to do that? Why would you want to raise so much money only to give away such a big chunk? Like, I don't get it. So, it's just, consumer is not educated. And it's the worst type of consumer when they're not educated, I think.
About financial literacy, I agree.
Just in general.
You
but about
agree
anything. When you're buying stuff and you're an uneducated consumer and you buy a product that, in food sector that you shouldn't put in your mouth, right? Just because it's bad. You're actually financing more of that stuff to be out there.
Well, I think anything you do with your money is a vote.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, damn.
I should have a show or something.
I need to write it down.
So what do you think about these celebrities that have used their power? Like, it sounds like you're not a fan.
I'm not a fan.
Why?
Because I think I'm a fan of effort. I'm just not a fan of dumb effort, And if you're an A-lister and you have power in your middle, in a little pinky, just you could snap your fingers and make a post and make a dent. You have to be an educated A-lister.
So you think like what Mila Kunis did, then Ashton Kutcher to raise money, like the platform was taking too much off the top that didn't actually go to the
amongst other people. Yeah. So Mila has the connection, obviously, and it's so funny. I may know somebody who used to be my student who's related to her, but she has the connection. But I just feel like they put in a lot of effort into the wrong place, and I feel like a lot of that came off top, and I just hate that millions went to some kind of fees and some other stuff, and then you hear about, not that it's incorrect. You can't benefit on some things. It's sort of like, how do I say it correctly? It's like not free for all. It was a bad phrase, but the world is what it is. We all watched Game of Thrones and we looked at all the stuff that was happening. You can draw parallels to what's happening now. Somebody's benefiting on this war by trillions, and it's unfortunate. But I guess it's what it is. I'm single issue voter on this thing. I just want Ukraine to survive, stand its ground, get its territory back, and it will prove to the U.S. consumer that this friend that you just gained in Eastern Europe, central most powerful army today, I mean, you need that friend. And it's not world policing. It's just making correct relationships. This isn't Middle East. We're not, sticking our nose in some oil game if that's what you're into and you believe in that. This is different. This is a first world country. This is a different type of person that you're supporting. A Ukrainian is not, some kind of village, whatever they are in. We used to look at Afghanistan like, who are these people, right? This is not those people. This is different people. They speak your language. They're the same people you hire and outsource, for your crypto and finances. And, website building and marketing needs and YouTube, whatever it is, monetization. Those are the Ukrainians. Like they're the front of most of the things. So you're going to see what that partnership is like. And so I can't wait for that type of win for Ukraine, because Ukraine cannot wait to give back. This is the person that I think they are.
The country.
As a country, yeah, 100%. And so
there.
that's why it's going to be a beautiful place to visit, to see, to be a part of, to have a relationship with. And as an American, I think we're going to earn the right to be welcomed into this country and be like, thank you for what this support was and how it was and, what it did.
And what a stud that Zelensky, man.
What a stud. What a stud.
I just like to end with that.
Yeah, because he's from that world.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
And he's a stud.
He's a lot. He's a great guy. You know that show that he came. Do you know how he became a president?
I don't. I can't.
Do you have 1 more minute?
Hell yeah. Tell me more about it.
This guy is a comedian.
I didn't know that.
Straight up, he's a comedian. And some time ago, he's just a comedian doing his thing. And then he's becoming a prominent comedian. And obviously somebody who, has a bit know-how, in business and all that. So he starts his own production company. And, he created a comedy network, like something like an SNL, you know what I mean? Like one of those like Saturday Night Live type of situations.
Like
where
variety show.
Yeah, variety show where everybody comes in, all the comedians. And then so his production company is popping off. So then he's entered, the movie sphere. And then this this TV series comes out where he's called Sluga Naroda, people's servant of people, of the people, or whatever it is, which, by the way, is the name of this political party, the exact same name. And so he created this show, the sitcom, where he's a starting character, and he's a regular person who just by accident somehow gets, didn't watch the show, who gets elected to be the president, just out of nowhere, somehow it just happened. That type of regular project. In the midst of the Ukrainian nonsense on the political level since the 90s, where it was just a lot of finances into pro-Russian bullshit politics on that government level, the people in Ukraine, when there was a poll, were asked, who is your ideal president? And they said, this freaking guy.
That's amazing.
And they called him by his whatever stage name. That guy is my president. This is who I want in my office. This is who I want to come from, like where that my president to come from. I don't want a president like the guy that was at some point when I was there shooting Bachelor, and he was building in a broke country. He was building a helipad for $100 million smack in the middle of the Kiev. And I'm like, that's not the president you want.
So this would be like the West Wing president.
Right. I don't know. Whatever. This is exactly. Yeah. It's like TV stuff where he had that type of persona here. But there was the first time on the television. It's a big hit. Everybody's watching. They're like, that's who I want as my president. And then, normally in that world on December 31st, January 1st is a big deal. New Year's Eve is a big deal. Everybody's watching TV. And normally the presidents use that too. Like, oh, I'm going for re-election, or I'm, whatever it is, or I'm announcing my whatever candidacy. And on December 31st, the current president was meant to announce that he's going for re-election. This guy announces, the Zelensky announces, I'm going to run for office. And he won by a freaking...
Like a joke?
No, he said it.
He announced
because
it
was just pushing and pushing and pushing. It's like, you know what? We're in it. We're doing it. He won by a landslide. No questions asked. It was insane. And that guy is then standing going, I don't need a ride, I need ammunition. Come on, I'm getting emotional. That's the dude. And you can find dirt, and he's getting, I'm sure, put a dossier on, you know what I'm saying? You know how it is, the opposition and all this stuff. Oh, it's a money laundering and this and the other. Look, the reality is that this dude is for a year in freaking office, you know what I'm saying, with a target on his back by some of the most powerful, I look at Putin like the worst, the most horrible bad guy in a 007 movie that's ever been created. Like this is just a movie we're watching, And so you could say what you want, but this dude 2 minutes ago was just me and you and somebody else on TV trying to create a successful podcast.
No,
and
no,
now,
he was like you. I'm actually seeing some stark similarities here. So he was on a popular show. Hold on. And people loved him. He was
Look,
beloved.
I'm going to tell it right now. I will never run for political office.
I was going to
never
say
never, but hell
President
no. Get out of here.
Chmerkovskiy.
Don't even say that. Don't do it. Don't do it.
So no
do
President
not,
Chmerkovskiy? Prime Minister?
Look.
Nothing.
I'm going to say right now, in my life, most of the stuff that I said I will never do, like dancing, I swear to God, I was going for chemical and chemistry and bio. That's it. I was going to be a pharmacist. I cared nothing about dance. I sucked at dance. It was not my thing. I did not like it. I also didn't want to smile and do the cha-cha. I was terrified. We can talk about my childhood and all that. I wanted to do chemistry and biology.
Sure.
That's it.
And then you did dancing, and now
because
you don't want to do
I will
politics.
never do it. Exactly. No, I'm never doing politics. Stop it.
But you said you weren't going to do the cha-cha.
I
and
have
you've
so
done the
much
cha-cha.
interest in financial sector. I'm so much entrepreneurship on my mind. I'm now, I just made sort of like good with, so failing is amazing because you learn amazing things as long as you can afford it. But you learn amazing things and you know what not to do next time. So I'm like, now I'm just accumulating as much stuff and knowledge that I know, even if it's through, failed ventures. I'm close. I will not derail myself with politics. I promise.
100%.
1,000 million. And also,
and Peter would not like it.
Yeah, and also I realized that you can say it the wrong way and then translate it however you want. You can influence politics, right? Yeah. Some dirty stuff. But look at what we're talking about. We're talking about war, lives, futures and all this stuff. And it all goes down to the funding, financing. Where's the money coming from? Where's the money coming from on that side to build more rockets and make deals with freaking Iran? Where's the money coming on this side to continue supplying stuff so these people can then take back what's theirs? It's just all about money. Why would I want to be in politics?
I mean, there's a saying that the Good Samaritan didn't just do good; he also had money.
Or
to create real change, you need real money. It sounds like is what you want.
Or what is that saying? What the Rockefeller? Somebody said Rockefeller. What did it say? I can vouch for every dollar ever made except the first million. I mean, you could just throw financial sayings left and right. The bottom line is like it's
after
about
my own
he
heart.
who has the gold makes he who has the gold makes the rules, right?
She
or she, he or she, whoever has the gold is. I'm by the way, I'm all for anybody having anything, running anything, as long as it has people's interests in minds. I hate our politics nowadays. It's not about people at all.
So you want to make a ton of money and influence that way?
Hell yeah.
Okay. Fully endorse that.
Not always the fan, but Elon, what did he say lately? He said, I purchased the most expensive nonprofit. This guy.
Let's have another idol for you to.
I never said an idol.
Okay.
But I will always look.
Respect.
I would not necessarily respect, just pick up.
Sure. Learn.
Wouldn't need to black and white everything to love, hate, respect, idolize, or not. I think you could just look, be like, interesting, and then keep it moving, And I also like in my professional career, that's the only parallel I can draw. In my professional career, I've always said I'm a good student, I'm a good patient, because my professional life just needs to rehab all the time. So I will listen to the doctors and do what they say. And I'm also a good student because we always have a coach. So like, you have parallel would be like a LeBron James, I'm sure has a shooting coach that he constantly is working out with. You know what I mean? Like that type of stuff.
So you say you need rehab, like
money
rehab?
No. I see where you went with that. Nice. Yes, 100%. But I'm also very good at following directions, and I'm a student, and I try to apply it all the time. The way I had my coaches, I never had one. I had few people that I would be influenced by, and I would take things from each. And I know a lot of people do it, but most of the time you have one person that you're just with. I'm not the guy. You know, I'm like, I want this from you, I want this from you, and this from you. And you guys need to be okay with each other. So, I don't know. Not really an idolizing kind of persona.
Oh, you're making your own MBA at the School of Hard
Yeah.
Knocks.
Yeah.
And you're also doing Money Rehab.
That's why I don't want to do it with my son. I want him to be highly educated by people smarter than me, bro. Don't learn from life. I will be the guy.